over a year now, close to 7,000 airstrikes have been carried out by the Western coalition against the Islamic State group. Those strikes have targeted both Iraq and Syria. Well, for more now, let's bring in France 24's terrorism expert, Wassim Nasr. Wassim, what is the situation like on the ground now, 1 year after these coalition strikes began?
We can say that in Iraq, the Islamic State is halted, if I may say so. They stopped them from continuing their advance toward Baghdad, toward Shia cities like Karbala or otherwise. They lost a few important towns like Tikrit, and they lost the Mosul dam. But in Syria, they are still expanding. They lost a few towns for the Kurdish YPG, but they continued advancing toward Tadmor in the center of the country. They took Palmor, they took Tadmir, and they are still continuing on this path. They were able to take part of the last oil field held by the Syrian government a few days ago. They didn't take the whole oil field, but part of it. So in Syria, it's not working. In Iraq, they are halted, but they are not losing important ground. They are still in Mosul. They took Ramadi. Fallujah is still with them, which is a few kilometers away from Baghdad, and they are still hitting with explosives in Baghdad and elsewhere.
Now, France is already part of the Western coalition, but just recently the French president said that France was now ready perhaps to add its own strikes across the border in Syria. How would that help?
He was very precise about that. He said that our targets are going to be defined and they're going to be hit. He said that no convoys are going to be hit regarding the advances on the ground. They're going to choose targets, and most probably French targets. So as the British did, they chose targets who might have constituted a danger for the countries themselves, for terrorist attacks here in France or in Great Britain. But what we shouldn't forget is what the U.S. intelligence community said a few days ago, that we know that the losses of the Islamic State were exaggerated. The U.S. were talking about 10,000 fighters dead, and now we know that it's mostly 1,500, and also about advancement on the ground. They were exaggerated in the report. So this is a big issue today in the States, because the report were like kind of not accurate, and they did not stick to reality. And we know from experience that anyways, strikes from the air never stopped a jihadi group or any rebel group. We saw it in Afghanistan, we saw it in Iraq, we saw it in Yemen, in Somalia. So troops on ground, boots on ground are needed if an outcome is to be seen in the upcoming months, but we know that it's very difficult. We know that the United States, when they were in Iraq, they lost Ramadi many times. To take Fallujah, it took them 2 battles, the last one 4 months, many casualties, and much destruction. Even it goes for Syria, like Kobani, which was taken by the YPG, by the Kurds. It took it 4 months of strikes, and the town is completely destroyed. So I guess it's going to be difficult, and I guess that anyways the French said that they're going to be very precise, and they said what's most important also, that the means deployed in Iraq are going to be used also in Syria. So there's no real more military effort regarding the French strikes in Syria.
All right, Wassim, thank you for that. Wassim Nasr.